Welcome to the channel and welcome to today's run through of all the latest Manchester United news and transfer updates, keeping you right up to date with everything. I'm Jamie. Before we get into it, smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and let's jump straight into it. So, obviously the main story breaking last night and into this morning was regarding the Bryan Mbeumo bid. We'll go through a few updates regarding that, but one of the talking points came out was that United were definitely interested in a striker from there. So let's continue on from that, and then we've got some big exit news to run through as well. So let's run through all the latest. So stick with the striker situation. So Laurie Whitwell said the following, that there are people connected to the club who believe a new striker is still essential, even if Mbeumo follows Cunha into Old Trafford. So that's good, and that is following on some reports this morning, in this morning's video, that I gave to you regarding that United are still going to be looking at a striker, even if we get the Mbeumo deal over the line, which hopefully we can do. Samuel Lucker said pretty much the same thing as well, that Manchester United want to sign another forward with Mbeumo regarded as more of a multifunctional option. The club intend to sign a new starting striker. And Samuel Lucas also said that Victor Gyökeres and Hugo Ekitike are two strikers under consideration by Manchester United. I think they are the two striker names that are more heavily linked with us at the moment. But we know that anyway. You know that already because you subscribe and you watch and you tell me all this in the comments as well. But the latest on Gyökeres is Fabrizio Romano said that Victor Gyökeres, linked to Manchester United, has no intention of playing for Sporting anymore. He is not expected to return to training after feeling heartbroken by the developments surrounding his exit pack. So remember, there was stories a couple of weeks ago now on Gyökeres, before we had the whole Arsenal situation going off, that he was upset about his agreement that he had with Sporting to allow him to leave. And there were talks then about him potentially going on strike. And effectively, it looks like he's no intention of going back to them anymore. So I think that gives the buying team for Victor Gyökeres a bit more power of negotiation as well, because if he's going to go on strike effectively and not play, I do think that is definitely a negotiation tool that you could use to your favour, whether United go for him or get him or not. All depends on Arsenal. He prefers Arsenal, or has chosen Arsenal ahead of United for Champions League. So we need to wait and see how that plays out as well. But definitely still a player of interest, I think, from us. And then going back to the report, Ekitike is the other name. Another name that we have been linked with a few times is Moise Kean. So Manchester United inquired about Moise Kean on Saturday. Now that came from Damarcio. Now Damarcio, very good when it comes to Italian news as well, and was once upon a time the best football transfer journalist around until Romano and Ornstein and these sort of characters overtaken him. But he is still fairly decent when it comes to Italian news as well. And then I've been bringing you over the last couple of days more reports from Italian journalists and Italian outlets suggesting that United maybe have made inquiries about Moise Kean as well. What do you think about that as an alternative if we don't get Gyökeres, or if Ekitike, we're priced out of Ekitike because the deal for there requires a reduction in his asking price, which is £85 million. Kean, what are we thinking? Are you keen on Kean? Are you not keen on Kean? Give us your thoughts and shouts on that in the comments below. But he is a player that is starting to creep up more and more in the rumour mill, we'll say. I've got about a potential target for striker, but give us your shouts on that in the comments below, as I'm sure you will. Another name that we've been heavily linked with the last couple of days is Christopher Nkunku. So the latest there is that Samuel Lucker said that Manchester United are not keen on signing Christopher Nkunku, so I'm pleased for that. It seems like the stories around there are mainly agent driven. I think maybe we've asked a question or maybe been in contact, whether the agents contacted United or not. I think there's some kind of contract, but I don't think the interest is anywhere near as being led to believe in the media and stuff. I don't think we're at that situation yet. Maybe it's a name, if we do a deal for Garnacho, maybe a sweetener in that kind of deal, or maybe we don't get our number one striker target, could be an option, but I don't think there's any legs in it at the moment. I think it's maybe one we've inquired about, but I would say we'll hang fire on getting too excited or not excited about Christopher Nkunku. But give us your shouts on that below. Let's quickly go through the latest on Bryan Mbeumo. Obviously, we know the news. If you haven't watched this morning's video, then we have now submitted, according to multiple credible outlets, £60 million plus bid for Bryan Mbeumo. Now, Rudy Galletti, who actually, if you've watched previous videos, was was the first journalist that reported that we'd made an offer of 63 million plus add-on about 2 days before the news actually broke as well. And it's believed that maybe we'd put the bid in around Sunday as well. So potentially one to pay attention to regarding this, saying that Brentford are already working on Bryan Mbeumo's replacement. Manchester United want to complete the deal this week, but the Bees aim to advance with a new signing first. As reported, Manchester United close to an agreement on £63 million plus add-ons package. So, credits where it's due. Rudy Galletti was fairly accurate with his reporting on this deal before anybody else as well. So that's maybe one to pay attention to. And I did say that I wonder if that's part of the hold up as well, where, Brentford have to look at a replacement because if teams know they've got cash available, they're going to increase their price as well. That's part of the transfer world. Plus, I don't know what's going on with their manager situation as well, with it any further down the line there. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on that one for you. And Jamie Jackson has said that Bryan Mbeumo could earn at least £150,000 per week if he joins Manchester United, a salary in the same range as Matheus Cunha. So it's believed to be between £150,000 to £165,000 a week, around that sort of salary for Bryan Mbeumo, which is around the same as what we're paying Matheus Cunha. So it's not to the £250,000 rumours or reports that were dismissed, a few weeks ago now regarding his salary situation as well. But give us your thoughts on that in the comments. I was hoping for a little bit more Mbeumo news once we got a bit giddy with the deal, and as of yet, and at the time of recording this video, there's no significant updates. There's no talk about whether the deal was accepted or rejected. We don't know anymore at the time of recording this video, but I'll bring you any updates if they come out. But give us your shouts on that in the comments below, as I am sure that you will. Let's go through the rest of the transfer news. So, Ruben Amorim wants immediate clarity on Andre Onana's future. If Onana returns as planned on the 7th of July, United will seek a solid number 2 keeper. But if they go hard for a new number 1 and land one, they may move Onana on entirely. Now, that came from Ben Jacobs, and Ben Jacobs has been fairly good so far this transfer window as well, suggesting that maybe we might see a bit more clarity on Onana's situation in the coming weeks ahead of pre-season. If he comes back, then maybe they're looking at, I think the plan at the moment is to keep Onana and then go for a number 2. But if there's movement around Onana, potential exit, then maybe we would shift and look for a number 1, probably a number 2 as well, if we were to remove Bayinda along with that as well. Now, Mike McGrath came out saying that Monaco and Andre Onana could not get an agreement over personal terms. Andre Onana's salary and bonus package are out of Monaco's reach, leaving a deal looking extremely unlikely at this stage of the window. And Mike McGrath is a decent source as well, suggesting that Monaco are believed to be one of the teams that were maybe interested in Andre Onana, but couldn't get agreement over personal terms because of the salary and stuff. However, Fabrizio Romano has dismissed it entirely, saying that Andre Onana not a concrete target for AS Monaco now. A situation has gone completely cold despite reports. Nothing into it so far. So Fabrizio Romano dismissing the entire stories around potentially Onana and Monaco. I do think maybe there's something in it because there's no smoke without fire normally, but maybe Monaco have inquired and just asked for basic information around his salary and stuff and thought, yeah, no, that's not for us. And then moving on, it could be something as simple as that potentially, but we'll need to wait and see how the goalkeeper situation plays out. Now, as possible replacements, if we do look for a number 1, Noah Bowler via Sport Witness have come out saying that Manchester United are very interested in Diogo, I can never say his name, Diogo Costa, who wants to leave Porto. He has a €75 million release clause, but could leave for €60 million, which is around £51 million for those that work in pounds. Even if Porto were to grant that discount, it still looks too much for Manchester United this summer. So Ebola, a decent Portuguese outlet, suggesting that Diogo Costa might be of interest to us as well. But along with City, they'd be happy to reduce his price to €60 million. That seems to be the going fee, doesn't it, at the moment for players around the £60 million or €60 million mark is what we seem to be where a majority of the deals are being done, but that might be too much for us, and I agree as well. I don't think we're going to have that sort of budget available to go for a goalkeeper. Even if you sell Onana, it's not seen as a priority position because we've got other areas, like we're going to have to spend a lot on a striker if we go for a striker potentially, so that's probably going to eat up a lot of the budget. So if we are going to go for a keeper, I think it's going to be someone fairly reasonable and a lot cheaper than £51 million as well. It does seem like City might be all over this deal as well, but which will be a shame, but it is what it is. But give us your thoughts on that in the comments below. And then the other goalkeeper we've been linked with is Martinez. So Disco Murray said that Emi Martinez is pushing to join Manchester United. No move has been made by United so far, so it seems to be the case still that Martinez is pushing for a move. An agent are trying to get a move to United, and United are not quite at that stage yet, because if you go back to the first report on Andre Onana from Ben Jacobs saying that we want to get clarity on Onana's future and situation first as well. So that's the latest regarding the goalkeeper. Let's move on to the midfield news. So there's been a few reports recently regarding Casemiro from a fairly decent Italian journalist and some unknown, I don't know the credibility of the Saudi Arabian journalist as well. Record in Portugal was saying, despite the report, Casemiro is not close to joining Al Nassr. Now, Record, we know from the Victor Gyökeres stories, I would say take with a pinch of salt. Because they were putting out waffle around Arsenal making a bid and the bid being rejected. That was incorrect. But then they did get something right with the Gyökeres preferring Arsenal story as well. But I would say take that with a pinch of salt. I think Ben Jacobs has come out saying that he's got quite good connections for the Saudi Pro League, saying there's nothing serious at this stage as well, so it might be one to pay attention to maybe later on in the transfer window, but as of yet no solid links with Casemiro to the Saudi Pro League, as much as that would be huge for us with his wages and potentially getting a bit of money in for him as well. But at the moment we'll wait and see how it plays out. I don't think there's anything solid going on with that at the moment. Now, in terms of other options, Ruben Amorim wants an athletic midfielder. So Laurie Whitwell is one of the best United journalists around, in my opinion, coming out suggesting that, yes, we may be looking at a midfielder, which is music to my ears. I do think that is an area, once we get the attack sorted, so we get a striker, I would like to see us pivot to either a goalkeeper or a midfielder would be my next two priorities personally. Let me know what you would pivot to in the comments below. But I think midfield and goalkeeper would be the next two positions personally. But we'll need to wait and see the budget and all that stuff as well. An athletic midfielder, the only real name I would say of credibility that we've been maybe linked with in midfield is Douglas Luiz. He seems to be the main name cropping up quite often, and I don't know, if that's going to be a viable option, because there's been talk around swaps involving Sancho. We're going to go through the Sancho updates in a second, but it's looking likely maybe he might be going to Fenerbahçe. So that deal is obviously going to be unrealistic if he doesn't go to Juventus. So we'll keep an eye on that one for you. Now, another name, Ben Jacobs has come out suggesting that Wilfred Ndidi. Now, he's mentioned that before as well, about Wilfred Ndidi is seen as a low-cost option if Casemiro leaves Manchester United, but likely not a priority. So one of the names we could potentially be looking at if Casemiro goes as a cheap option, depending on budget, because if we go all in on a big striker and spend a lot of money on a striker, then that's going to obviously restrict our budget. And someone like Ndidi might be seen as a viable option for around £9 million, I think it was, that Ben Jacobs was saying before. And Alex Crook, although I would take Alex Crook with a pinch of salt, but he does a lot of work sometimes with Ben Jacobs, so that's maybe where he's getting his information from, saying that Everton and Manchester United are showing interest in 28-year-old Leicester midfielder Wilfred Ndidi. He has a £9 million release clause, so that could be one that we could pivot to or could look at, depending on the budget and the price that we have for the striker, and we get the Mbeumo deal done. If we don't get sales, maybe that could be a viable option. But give us your thoughts on Ndidi. I'd have worries about his injury record, and would have been a player, like, we're 5 years too late on the Ndidi deal, I think, but was a player that was really good and would have definitely taken him at United at one point in time, but I'm not entirely convinced now. But as a cheap backup to bring in, I wouldn't necessarily be against it, but that would be the only reasons, because it's cheap. But give us your thoughts and feelings on Ndidi in the comments. Now, one of the other midfielders where the news has gone a little bit quiet recently is regarding Kobbie Mainoo and his contract situation. So Ben Jacobs said that Kobbie Mainoo and Manchester United are prioritising each other. His preference is to stay and sign a new deal. So that's encouraging. He said just because it hasn't been announced doesn't mean talks haven't been positive. So Ben Jacobs suggesting that the talks between Mainoo and this new contract are still ongoing. So hopefully we get some movement on that one as well, because it's we're looking to sell Garnacho. I think I like Mainoo. I think he's a quality player. He's got loads of potential as well. He needs to improve. He needs to develop. But he is only a child still. He's only 19, 20. So and he's got bags of potential and bags of development in him as well. So I like the idea of us keeping Kobbie Mainoo, and by all accounts, according to Ben Jacobs, he wants to stay as well, which is good. And then there was a video I did a couple of days ago regarding Mason Mount and links with Aston Villa. Did say take it with a pinch of salt though at the time, because I wasn't entirely convinced by the credibility of the source. Now Fabrizio Romano has come out saying that the clear intention of Mason Mount is to stay at Manchester United as of today. He is planning to have an important pre-season, feeling well and fully fit as well. So Mason Mount himself wants to stay, according to Fabrizio Romano, and it's a case of maybe that would change if he got an offer, and if Amrabat has a word with him about his minutes and his game time and stuff like that as well. That could potentially change the later on the transfer window goes, but his intentions are to stay. He's on big wages. We still got a big amount of money for his monetization as well to pay, and I don't know what team's going to pay big money and big wages for Mason Mount that's been injured for 2 years. I can't see it personally, so I think just through that reason he's probably going to end up staying just through default anyway. But if he stays fit, he's a good player. That's the problem with Mount. He's a very good player. It's just he can't stay fit, and that's the problem. But yeah, that's the latest regarding Mason Mount. So give us your thoughts and shouts on that in the comments below, as I am sure that you will. Now let's go through the latest exit noise. So Rashford believes Barcelona's interest in Nico Williams doesn't rule out a move for him. He has talked up the prospect of playing as a number 9. Talks about a deal have occurred, but his future may not be decided until later. Currently, United is only considering a sale, although a loan agreement could happen closer to the deadline. I think that's what's going to end up happening. I can see a situation where Barcelona have told him to wait and we'll do a deal with you at the end of the transfer window on a loan with maybe an obligation to buy so they can get him next year, and Rashford's just going to delay and turn down other clubs and wait for that move. I can see a situation like that coming out, but if Barcelona obviously do give him the kind of no, we're not going for you as well, then obviously things will change from there as well. But I can see a scenario there. He did an interview on Barcelona YouTube fan channel, I think it was the other day, and he was pretty much saying this, talking about how his idol's Thierry Henry and how he is enjoying playing up front recently as well, although at United he was kicking off about playing up front and only wanted to play on the left. And also bigging up about how he wanted to play with Yamin Lamal and stuff like that as well. So he clearly wants to go to Barcelona. He's training in Spain as well. Coincidentally, he was talking about how it's close to his family and it's only 3-hour flight away and all of this stuff. Like, he is waiting for Barcelona, and I wonder if there's been some sort of shenanigans where, Barcelona have told him to wait and they'll try and fleece us by doing a loan with an obligation to buy or something at the end of the transfer window. I can see a scenario like that playing out. I hope I'm wrong. I hope we do just get a permanent exit, and we can all move on with our lives, and Rashford gets the move that he wants as well, and he's happy, and Barcelona are happy, and we're happy, and we don't have to talk about it anymore. But we'll bring you any updates when they come out, but give us your thoughts on that in the comments. So let's go through the Jadon Sancho situation, because there's loads of noise going on regarding that. And Fenerbahçe. So this is a fairly decent Turkish outlet that are quite close with Fenerbahçe as well, suggesting that Jadon Sancho has accepted Fenerbahçe's salary offer of approximately 10 million euros. Fenerbahçe will begin negotiations with Manchester United. The transfer is expected to conclude positively. So that's a decent Turkish outlet suggesting that Jadon Sancho has accepted the salary offer of 10 million euros from Fenerbahçe. Then we've had Matteo, a really good source, saying in the next few hours there will be new contact between Napoli and Jadon Sancho. So Matteo suggesting that Napoli are still in the race for Jadon Sancho, and he works with Romano, so he's a great source of information as well. Martin Lipton, who's a good source, said that Jose Mourinho is closing in on bringing Jadon Sancho to Fenerbahçe. The Turkish club have offered Manchester United £15 million and are prepared to meet Sancho's salary demands for £10 million a season. So that's really interesting if it's about the money, and we get the price that we're after for Jadon Sancho as well. So that would be good. And this is a good Turkish journalist as well, saying that Fenerbahçe have made a very good offer to Jadon Sancho, which he is seriously considering. It's the highest offer he's received. If he agrees, negotiations with Manchester United should not be a problem. Then we've had Ben Jacobs saying that Fenerbahçe are pushing to sign Jadon Sancho and are prepared to pay the Manchester United winger over £8.5 million in salary, which works out around £165,000 a week. Jose Mourinho has had a direct call with the player, so this is starting to heat up the situation regarding Sancho and potentially a move to Fenerbahçe, although according to Matteo, still potential interest in Napoli. But as we heard in yesterday's video, Napoli's president said, we're not paying your salary demands. So I think Sancho would have a choice of, do you want to go to Napoli for less money or Fenerbahçe for more money? That's what it seems like to me. And then Rudy Galletti, who I mentioned earlier, has been fairly decent recently as well, suggesting that Fenerbahçe started talks with Jadon in May the 1st, contact with Man United pre-mid-June. The price, £30 million pounds negotiable, is seen as fair. £10 million a year wage demands are the biggest hurdle. Fener are working to find a solution. Other clubs are in the mix as well. So Rudy Galletti suggesting that talk started with between Jadon Sancho and Fenerbahçe as far back as in May. And is that one of the reasons why he refused the contract offer from Chelsea? Because he knew he had a deal lined up, or he knew there would be this offer and this salary coming in potentially. But it is starting to heat up regarding Sancho and his exit, which is massive for us to get his wages off the books and his monetization as well off the books. We'll clear loads of funds from a PSR room. We're not going to make much money in the sale. In fact, we're going to lose shitloads of money. But from a PSR perspective, it is a big deal getting Sancho's wages and his monetization off the books as well, which is really important. So hopefully we can get some movement on that as well. Mike McGrath's actually just come out with, at the time of recording this video, saying that Fenerbahçe have inquired about a deal for Jadon Sancho. They have discussed the player as a target, but a deal would involve negotiations on whether it would be permanent or a loan. So, we'll have to wait and see how that one plays out. Hopefully it'll be a permanent. I mean, if it's £15 million, as the previous reports were saying, then I think that's plausible for Fenerbahçe to do. But we'll bring you any updates when they come out. Give us your shouts on that in the comments below. Let's go for the next exit, which is Antony. So Laurie Whitwell was saying that Antony is the most advanced when it comes to exit at Manchester United, with Real Betis wishing to turn his loan move into a permanent transfer. So it is looking like, according to Laurie Whitwell, Antony might be the furthest along the lines in terms of an exit. They're just working out, or maybe even waiting for July to get money in from the PSR or FFP perspective as well. So hopefully we can see some movement there as well. Dan Gore will be allowed to leave permanently this summer if the right opportunity arises. That came from Rich Fay. It's a shame what happened to his career. He looked like a promising young player. Had a few loans that have gone really, really bad through injuries as well. So, I think it's about time to... we've been really bad at holding young players and not selling them at the right opportunity. So it might be a way to make a bit of money, but also as long as you protect yourself with maybe a buy on or a buy back and clause and stuff like that as well. I've got no issues with that. He's a good player, but he's just been unlucky with a few injuries, I think, with his loan spells, and hasn't really progressed in the way maybe he should have, but by this time. But give us your thoughts on that in the comments. And then the final story I've got for you is regarding Johnny Evans. So Laurie Whitwell has said that Johnny Evans is to stay at Manchester United after agreeing a new role on staff. Evans will look after youth loans, helping place players at clubs and offering them support through the process. So Johnny Evans has been given a staff role at United. I'm buzzing for that as well. He's a good character by all accounts, and a nice person to have around to help the young players as well, effectively looking and helping young players with their loan moves and all of that as well. And fair play. That's a good opportunity for Johnny Evans as well to come into and be part of the staff team, helping the young players and their loans and all of that stuff as well. So fair play to that. But give us your thoughts on that in the comments. Give us your thoughts on all the other topics discussed in today's video, because that's you all up to date with the latest news and transfer updates. Smash a like on the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. See you in the next one.